However, my opinions are mine alone and do not necessarily reflect those of my employer, nor does it necessarily reflect the rest of the board of directors. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I'll defer questions from the audience until we see if there's any phone-ins. Any phone-ins, Chris?
0.
Okay, well, it looks like we can break for closed session at 4:32.
Perfect.
Oh, no!
No, you don't need to sign, but would you mind?
Tell me if the right side pops
If the,
on the streaming.
if the right side pops,
If that goes over there.
okay. Oh, yeah, it did.
Oh, it's
It
coming
did?
to show.
Yeah,
Huh?
It's coming to show.
yeah, it did.
We're good.
Yeah, don't record the whole meeting with no volume, okay?
Okay, I'll try.
Because I did that.
It's okay.
You can watch the finance committee meeting, but you better be able to read lips
That's hilarious.
and hands.
And that happens because you didn't unmute these buttons?
No, if these get jumbled and we
Oh,
don't clear it and then redo it again, it doesn't stream.
okay, that's where Chris was saying that it's gotta jump up
You
a
can
little bit.
mute the microphone because everyone can hear us.
Okay. Sorry, guys.
Okay, very good. Welcome back. It is 2 minutes after 6. We've just gotten out of closed session. Council, please.
Yes, the board met in closed session on the items under executive session. No action was taken. That requires disclosure under the Brown Act.
Thank you for that. And for the public attending, we did the Pledge of Allegiance and all of those other in front of closed session. So we'll start right into public questions and comments. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons desiring to address the board on any matter not on the agenda and over which the board has jurisdiction. However, no action may be taken by the board of directors on any item not appearing on the agenda. Non-agenda speakers are asked to limit their presentations to 5 minutes. And public questions and comments on items listed on the agenda will be accepted at any time the item is brought forward for consideration by the board. When you're recognized by the chairperson, please state your name and address for the record. Do we have any public comments? None from the floor. Are any waiting in the queue? Okay, very good. Then we'll go on to item 10, current business and committee reports. Consent calendar?
I move approval of the consent calendar.
I'll second that.
Any public comments on the consent calendar? Seeing none, we'll call for a vote. Okay, all approved, motion pass. Item B, draft 2023 water shortage contingency plan. Who will be briefing that?
I guess that's me.
Okay. Our interim general manager, Ty.
Back in August of, was it August? Yep, August of 2021, we adopted the 2020 water shortage contingency plan. At that time, we had 4 rates in our rate system. Obviously, the rate structure has changed. We're to 2 different tiers. So we had to change and update the water contingency shortage plan to reflect those 2 tiers. I believe there's a couple other little revisions, and I don't recall exactly what they were. They were, maybe Renee does.
I think it was just mostly wording. I don't think it was anything significant.
Yeah, so we, staff has gone through the complete plan. We have updated all the tier 2 rates in there from tier 4, tier 3 to tier 2. And so that's what you have before you. It does require a public hearing, so tonight we're not asking for approval of the plan, but to set a date for the public hearing.
Okay. Do we feel we've done the due diligence in preparation for the public hearing, or do we need some time to?
One of the requirements is that we provide notice to the city, to any cities or counties within our service area. So you got Kern and San Bernardino, and then the city of Ridgecrest. They need 60 days notice prior to the public hearing. We're sitting here on August 14th, so 60 days comes after the October board meeting. So I don't think there's any time constraint. So the November regular board meeting would be the next regularly scheduled meeting for the board. Okay. That's all. For the public hearing.
Can you get everything out in time so they have their 60 days?
All we have to do is provide a letter to the county and the city. This provides staff with ample time to get this thing done and provide all of the notices, which will be sent closer to the November hearing date. That's all.
Have a motion for nominating them for the
motion.
I would like to make a couple comments. The weekly highlights that we've been getting indicate that we would be receiving a red line version of the document to look at. And I haven't seen a red line version of the document. And So I would like to see what has been changed. The thing, I did go through and do a search on tiers, the word tiers, Tiers, and I noticed that there were still several occurrences of tiers 3 and tiers 4 in the document, at least the one that came out in the board packet. And also there were a number of occurrences of the ordinance 104 in the package. And I believe that they should all be 107 at this point in time.
So my understanding is the staff is going to be working on that report that will be given in November. It's not ready right now?
Yeah, not till November.
Well,
And so
it turns out that some of the changes have been made. Some of the
but still-
changes,
This is
Still in work.
probably not the final draft. I'll send out the final red line, probably tomorrow. I'll send it to the board. And we'll post it on the website as well, so anyone that wants to can look at it prior to the hearing.
But that doesn't
okay.
mean that
all
we
right.
can't work
Yeah,
on
I
it.
was a little bit worried by the fact that some of the changes had clearly been made and other ones had clearly not been made. There's also a reference to water use beyond tier 2. And of course, there is no water use beyond tier 2. It's infinite, so.
Yeah, I'm looking at the front cover and it says August 2021 plan. So this is
Okay, so I guess it would be nice, is there a committee that is supposed to be vetting this? Typically, all documents have been assigned to one committee or another.
Only if the board feels it's necessary. I don't feel this is necessary.
I will say one thing, that even if the board sets the public hearing for November, that does not prohibit us from putting this back on the agenda to have an open discussion. Once, for example, if Stan receives the red line comments, he can read those, and we can certainly put it on a subsequent agenda if requested and have an open discussion. This doesn't foreclose any opportunity.
Okay.
That's all.
That was my understanding as well. So
I wasn't real sure what the document that was included in the packet was really supposed to be for, to be quite honest. So, yeah, as long as, I guess I would prefer that it be vetted through a committee rather than the whole board having to go through it. But if that's what the board chooses, I guess that's all right with me. But we obviously, based upon what I've seen to date, there are a significant number of changes, not major, big things. It's just inconsistencies between tiers 1, 2, 3, and 4, and all that stuff that need to be changed.
So I don't believe it's the business of the directors to write the documents, and if you're going to involve a committee in the preparation of the documents, that's unnecessary. The staff writes the documents and we read them and then we comment on them, and that's as far as it goes. But I don't believe directors should be involved in the direct creation of those documents.
yeah, and I agree. And the updated document as Ty mentioned, is going to be provided to us here shortly. So we'll have a chance to review it well in advance of the meeting in November.
It seems, I was just, sorry, that Don, before he left, may have sent Lauren the wrong one to include in the packet, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for that. Okay, so we'll look forward to the updated document, and then do we need a motion for having this brought forward in November?
No, I think we have direction. We're
Okay,
good.
and then somebody, Lauren, will you keep track of that for us? Okay, very good, because I'll forget by November, I can guarantee that. Okay, item C, Finance Committee. Let's see, I'll turn to the general manager for that report.
Sure. As you recall, back in March, we approved the new water sales and service policy manual with the most recent updates. Director Atora had additional questions or comments on the document. So we took those to the Finance Committee. The staff has responded to those comments, and in turn, probably late June, early July, Director Atora responded to our responses And so we have decided now it's time to bring this to the board to see how they would like to proceed.
I'm satisfied with the responses of the staff. I think the document should go forward as the staff has it currently existing.
I'm going to concur with that. I saw the original questions. I saw the answers back. I saw the new questions. It's the staff's job to work on this. They've looked at it. They've passed their comments back. And I think we are where we need to be. Although some things were incorporated and other things weren't. So I trust our staff. Thank you.
Director Griffin?
I appreciate Stan's comments, but I think the staff is ultimately responsible for writing that policy. And I think some of them were incorporated, some changes. I appreciate that also. Sorry, and that's my phone vibrating.
No, okay.
I did put together a summary of, I got to thinking that it was difficult to see the trees for the forest. And so I put together what I consider a summary of my comments, and I'd like to pass those out. Part of my comments were based upon being a board member and doing what I think should be done as a result, for the board. My other comments were based upon what I think the public would want to see and how the public should react if they actually reviewed the document. So I would like to have these comments included in the record for this evening. Obviously, there's no point, based upon the comments I've already heard, of us going through them one by one. But on the other hand, I do want these included. My feeling is the document it could be better. It could be better understood, more understandable, and the roles of the board, staff, and the public need to be clear and unambiguous. That is not the case as far as I'm concerned. So I'm obviously willing to accept the decision of the board to go or not make any changes, basically, is what we're saying.
I have a quick question for you, Stan. Were these items listed here part of the dialogue that you had with staff?
It's a synopsis of what you received in the.
So these are outstanding issues that you made, or these are outstanding things you brought forward to staff that they had a chance to review but did not agree to include these in the document? Is that what you're saying?
That is true. If you go back in history, you'll remember we kept asking them during the Finance Committee when we were going to see in front of the Finance Committee the document.
Right.
And they kept saying it wasn't ready, it wasn't ready, it wasn't ready. So we got time to actually approve it. No director had time to go through and review it. That is why I took up the ball and did my own review, sent those on to the staff, and the staff pretty much unanimously, with the exception of one or two minor things, said, no, we don't want to do it.
Okay. And given the comments of the other directors that they trust the staff, they've had a chance to hear these issues and provided responses to you. We'll put this in the record if you wish, but I think we probably have spent enough time on this topic this evening.
I agree, but I do want this for the record.
Okay. We'll put it in the record.
I was elected to represent the public, and that's what I'm trying to do.
Okay, appreciate it.
And I feel very strongly about that.
Thank you. Did you give a copy to Lauren?
Yes, she has a copy.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, item D, Administrative Executive Committee. Is that also for the interim general manager to discuss, or is that?
I think that's the recording secretary. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, if you like,
Well, you're the interim GM, so you could pass that around.
Ty, if you'd like to, I'll take that one. That's about the
you were
Aqua,
there.
correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's about Aqua.
Basically, it's time again, I think we spoke about this maybe at the last meeting, that we're going to be coming through with some recommendations for Aqua, which is, obviously will be signed at the bottom of this sheet. Have you seen this by the president? And if you really look at this really closely, the nominating committee's recommendations are a great slate, because the same people that are in the bottom are in in one way or another. So if you look at the names here, there's only, I think, one person missing from the recommended slate, and I'm going to say that's Sheridan Nicholas. Everybody else that's on this slate, individual, is basically in the recommended slate. So, I would recommend that we just go ahead and concur with the Region 7 nominating committee's recommended slate.
I think I've already done that,
Yeah. So do we need to,
because you gave me approval to do that at the last meeting, so to vote on the Aqua.
is that the same one? Because this is
so.
the official ballot, I think. Was there another ballot out, Lauren, before this one? This is the only official ballot, correct?
This is the only official ballot, yes.
Okay,
Yeah, I got an email of it.
okay.
So
So-
you've already sent in our vote then?
This is a done deal. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I believe the one that you received
Oh.
was Aqua as a whole, and this is just for Regions.
Region seven,
Okay, all right,
yes.
my mistake.
No,
Okay.
Six.
Right.
So,
So is there a nominate, or is there a recommendation?
well, I don't know, do we need to do
I'll
a,
move that we
yeah, it's
accept
on there,
the recommended slate for Region 7.
okay.
Is that a motion?
Motion, yes, I
I'll-
move.
Is there a
And I'll
second?
second it.
Okay, you want to vote or public comment? Okay, you want to vote? Thank you. Thanks for the clarification, Lauren. I was not tracking. Because I did see something in my emails today from Region 7. I thought it was duplicative of. Okay.
It's not received your vote, Chuck.
Did it do it?
Oh, I stand corrected. It wasn't Sheridan Nicholas, because he's recommended as the chair, and I can't pick it up right now, but there's only one person in the bottom slate that isn't in the recommended slate.
Okay. Awesome. Motion passes. Item 2, draft probation and reinstatement policy. Did you also discuss that this week, Ron? So draft probation and reinstatement policy, second item under admin executive committee.
Oh, yeah, basically, since I was the only one at the meeting, I could make a recommendation for the committee, but my personal recommendation is the way that that it's written as with the changes is acceptable to me. So it's up to the rest of the board.
Yeah, just a little background. As the policy currently stands, when someone wants to promote or change positions, they're on a probationary basis in that new position for 6 months. Should they feel that it's not a good fit for them, or that department itself feels this employee is not a good fit for the department, they're at risk of losing their job. That they can go back to their old position if it's free, but if it's filled, then, and there's no other open positions within the district, they're without a job. And we don't want to punish people for wanting to better themselves or be promoted within. So what this basically does is when they leave their position to take the new one, then we temporarily fill their previous position until that 6 months probationary period's up. Then if they're not a good fit, they can go back to their position.
Okay. Now, does that trickle down to the person that's acting in that position also has somebody coming behind them? And
It could have a trickle down effect.
Okay.
Yep.
and that's different than what our current policy is?
Yeah.
We don't have protections like that in the current
We do
policy?
not.
Okay,
This was taken to the employees as a whole, and they were all agreeable to it.
okay. That sounds like a due diligence to me. How about the rest of you? Do we need a motion? Yep.
I was curious, on the last paragraph under the length of introductory and probationary periods, it says, a probationary employee may be terminated with or without cause during the probationary period, but shall have the rights of review as specified within this manual. Can somebody explain, just a brief summary of what that means? I mean, what is the the rights of review as specified in this manual.
Yeah, so this as a policy would go into the employee handbook and the policy manual. It's pretty much the right of, what's it called? I can't. Yeah, a grievance type thing where,
Without looking at it, the employees are entitled to hearings and certain rights before action is taken against them, even though they're probationary. I believe the thought is to provide them with similar protections as well.
Okay.
All consistent with the existing wording of the personnel manual.
Okay.
Any comments from the
And-
public? Oh, sorry.
Right. May I ask, has this been reviewed by anybody who represents the workers, our workers, our employees?
I thought you just said the public, or the workers did review this.
yeah, we took this to the entire employee.
Okay,
And they-
okay. And there were no objections, I assume? Okay,
And I'm not even sure that this is an issue that would be part of an MOU amendment or something. I wouldn't consider it that critical.
Any other board comments? Any comments from the public? Okay, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the introductory and probationary periods as presented.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, Lauren, please vote. Okay, we have one abstention, but 4 approvals. Item E, Indian Wells Valley Groundwater Authority. Director Griffin?
Yes, the last meeting was held on July 12th. It was a pretty quick meeting, but not a lot discussed. We did discuss a few items. The most important item to me was the community engagement plan. They were to take action on it and hopefully implement some things. In my opinion, they didn't really implement a whole lot. They took some action, but nothing that was actually looking for public input. And so I would like to see a lot more public input. I brought those comments up, that I would like to see the meeting times changed. I would like to see public speaking be not limited or limited to 5 minutes instead of 3 minutes, that it was hard for somebody to get their views across in 3 minutes if they weren't used to speaking. And I kind of got blown off, in my opinion, so I don't think I was heard,
Certainly did.
listened to, or respected one bit, so I don't think my opinion mattered on that bit, so I will continue to fight for that, but we did not prevail on that. So hopefully they will make the changes and they'll do some things, but I was discouraged after that because I don't feel I had the support of any board member.
Did you get any public help on that?
There was public comment there and the public was supportive, but I had zero support from the other board members, and I felt that was very shocking and surprising to me that they did not want to hear more from the public or do any changing. So I would really like to see that happen. So that was discouraging. There was a meeting scheduled for this month. That meeting was canceled, actually postponed, I guess. So now tentatively, the meeting is rescheduled for August 23rd, which is next Wednesday. So that is supposed to happen, and then there is a scoping meeting later that night, but the GA meeting should be, as of right now, what I'm understanding is the 23rd at 11 o'clock a.m. for open session. So
We'll have the GA and then a scoping meeting on the same day.
correct. Yeah, the scoping will be later in the evening, so, and that's really all the report I have right now.
Okay, thank you. Questions from directors?
Before that, if I may, the scoping meeting pertains to the GA's preparation of a draft environmental impact report for the imported pipeline from the AVEX system. It's on August 23rd at 5:30 to 7 o'clock. I believe it's at City Hall. For those of you that might be interested in what they're talking about on the pipeline, that might be a good meeting for you to attend. That's all. I'm sorry.
Thank you, thank you
And
for that.
speaking about that, I would also like to comment that the district did write a letter, and so we have some specific questions that we would like answered about the pipeline project cost and different things, so So maybe.
I was gonna go a little bit more about, yeah.
A little bit
Well,
more
because I-
also, but
yeah.
we do have a letter out there and we would like some answers.
As I've been told that this, Jim mentioned to me that as a board, we sort of need to agree to this letter, although it's been sent out by Don Zadiba, and I believe it could be made public. I don't know why it couldn't. Hopefully it'll be published on our website. But basically what it is, it's a letter from Don that was assisted in putting it together by our engineering consultants and staff. And it was sent to Carol Kiefer, the general manager, as well as Steve Johnson, and copied to Steve Johnson. And what this letter does, and it's a lengthy one, but it's concerns that the district is being asked to, be connected to with this pipeline. And there is a number of concerns that the board has and the staff has and engineering has, and this letter lays out all those concerns. And we would like to see some answers to these questions. Most of it is taking into account all the additional costs and other things that are happening with. I'm not going to go into detail about it, because like I said, it's 4 pages, but it'll be available on our website. And I encourage anybody who's listening or anybody who needs to is to read this letter, because these this pipeline connected in waters that could have a serious impact in costs and how we operate. And this letter is asking a whole lot of questions before we move on with any kind of determination. So please, I think it's a well-written letter. I know that engineering got involved with it, and I know our consultants did, as well as, who knows, our staff, I'm sure that Jason was as well.
So it'll be posted on our website?
I
Or
don't see any reason why it couldn't. We'll post it on our website. And we're going to get word out, I hope, that it is out there. I thought Don mentioned something before he left about getting it on our Facebook page or something, that it's available, saying you need to look at this. He was talking about that. So we want this out there, so people can understand that a district is working hard for its customers and looking at every conceivable possibility of what something like this could possibly cost us and the impacts.
Thank you for that. Any other comments regarding GA?
I attended the meeting, at least the first part of the meeting. I thought Chuck did an excellent job of presenting the case for the communication and engagement plan. And like I said, he got no traction at all. It turns out that DWR in one of their comments said we need to have an updated communication and engagement plan. It was kind of like nobody else on the board understood that it's a requirement. Of course, now they can go back and say, well, it's only a requirement if they want the next GSP to be approved, but it's sort of a subtlety. The thing that struck me kind of interesting is that one of the, I thought, important aspects of the updated communication engagement plan was an integrated schedule with project performance and cost. And one of the comments that I heard from somebody on the GA side was some of the projects are just too complex to have a schedule. Which of course is just the opposite of what you should have. If you got the more complex your problem, the more you need to schedule, the more you need to plan, and that's project management 101. I mean, and I think Chuck's the only one on the whole board that had any understanding of real project management, and I appreciate everything you tried to do. Believe me, I understand. So you just got to keep plugging, and sooner or later they will hopefully start to listen.
I want to thank the committee that put that together. I think they did a good job at it. When you read it, it's a good improvement on what the first start they had. There are a lot of good recommendations in there. I just seriously hope that the board takes it more seriously. I won't say they didn't take it seriously, but it seems like there weren't a lot of questions or anything about oh yeah, we have this, and we have some budget for it. I believe it was $45,000 or $80,000 maybe, I'm not sure what it was, but it was they were reluctant to move on from there. But I do appreciate the work that committee put into it, and a lot of work went into it.
I think it's really important to understand that that budget that they put together on this topic was not spent by the majority of the volunteers that put together the basic document that's been,
Correct.
so it's, that, so the thank you note that you just
Yeah,
mentioned
exactly.
needs to go to the volunteers.
Yeah, well, to the PAC, and
Correct.
and they have subcommittees that work on these things. They
Absolutely.
put multiple hours into these things. They really put a lot of work into this.
A lot of
And,
fun.
and it hurts me when Chuck brings something up and there's not even an agreement to discuss some items that he brings up. I mean, it's just crickets. I'd like to have this on the next agenda so we can discuss it. Nothing. And I think that's wrong. He's did this, the PAC deserves a lot of credit for this. I really wish this whole program could move forward with some robust backing and because I think it would help the community a lot.
No, and I want to say, I agree with you 100%, Ron, except for one comment you made. I don't think they took it very seriously at all, and I think it was an insult to the PAC. The PAC worked very hard on this plan. As you said, they volunteered their time, and they put in many hours to come up with a plan that could have some outreach and some input from the public, and it was just basically ignored and filed and received, if you will. That's that way I took it. It was just, no, we don't want to hear anything. Like you said, it was crickets and pushed away. So it was a shame to watch the PAC members. I mean, to watch their faces and see. There was some there in the audience, and just to see their faces, like, really? But that's what it was. So it blew me away.
Other comments from board?
Do, but we have a member of the
Let's
audience.
go ahead and finish the board, and I'll talk with the PAC.
I'd like to amplify something that Vice President Kaczynski said. There are some serious challenges with accepting water from the proposed pipeline, and we have to have questions answered before the board can make an appropriate determination as to whether to support the project or not. And we can't move forward until those questions have been answered adequately. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you. Okay. Do we have any questions from the public?
You don't have a question, but
Or
you have a
statement.
comment.
Please.
Judy Decker, which hat would you like? Vice President of the East Kern County Resource Conservation District, Vice Chair of the PAC. Yes, the PAC works very diligently on all the assignments, including the C&E plan. Regarding the C&E plan, I agree with you, Chuck. It was very disappointing that they brushed off your comments like they would a bothersome fly. We have an interesting collection of board members now on the Groundwater Authority Board. We have a supervisor who doesn't live here from Kern County. We have a supervisor from San Bernardino County that we've never, ever even seen. We have Mr. Vallejo from Inyo County, who comes once in a while and considers most of what we say bothersome, I believe. And we have Mr. Heyman, who just got reelected, so he doesn't have to worry for another 3 years. And that's how I view him, by the way. I am concerned about the C&E plan. If you recall, in the beginning, the Navy representative was Commander, I forgot his name, Longbottom, who immediately said that the organization needed a POA&M. Most of the people didn't understand what it was, except for those people who were retired or present Department of Defense employees. They understood exactly what it was. If you recall, in the original time frame, Peter Brown was your representative. Every meeting, he piped up and said, when are we going to form a finance committee? 7 years later, we don't have one. we are spending with that organization millions of taxpayer dollars, along with thousands, maybe it's millions by now, of water district customer money.
9 million and counting.
Wow. Yeah, you'll be spending some more maybe here. I think the only thing to do is to keep pushing. As far as the C&E plan, some of the things that Carol stated they would not do, I agreed with because I didn't want them in the plan in the first place and got outvoted. The social media business, hiring a communications director, talk about spending more money, there it is. I am concerned that they're going to write white papers, as fact sheets as they call them, and will be writing things that no one will be able to review ahead of time and will present incorrect information. And it's critical that the public gets the proper information on the hydrology of this basin, as well as the details of being a domestic well owner versus one of the other kinds of well owners. Regarding the pipeline, I'm concerned we're going to have this multi-million-dollar pipeline from California City to Ridgecrest that doesn't have anything in it. If you observe, we used to have on the closed session agenda Jackson Ranch. It's been taken off the agenda now for several months. It was on the last agenda but was removed by Mr. Lemieux. Where's the water going to come from to go in that pipeline? And I thank you for your support, Ron, and the rest of the board, because some of us do work very hard on our PAC presentations and the things we're asked to do. And along those lines, Ron knows, we have been discussing how to communicate with the well owner on the requirements for, and I know I'm taking a long time, mitigation. We have concentrated on the de minimis well owner because over 90% of the well owners in this valley are in fact de minimis well owners. And so I think John will like, we have done it again. We have created another document. It's a page long. I think you'll like it. But it's all geared toward the de minimis well owner. And along those lines, since you were there to vote on mitigating money for the Stark Street well, a private well, kitty corner from that is being re-drilled starting today because there is only something like 10 feet of water left in it.
Thank you, Judy.
I have one last comment,
Please.
Mr. President. Somebody mentioned that when asked about a schedule, they were told that the project was too complicated to have a schedule?
They did.
Okay, so that's just an indication that they don't really understand the project properly. There's any number of ways to arrive at a schedule, even if they're making scientific wild guesses as to that. They can adjust them as they go along. And if they don't understand the project well enough to give us even a preliminary schedule or a draft schedule, then they really need to pause and come up with a better understanding of what they need to do before they move on. That's all I have.
I'm at a loss of how you could move forward with a budget to try to get something done without knowing what step A versus step B.
Give us some money and we'll start working and we'll tell you how long it's going to take when we're done. That is not an acceptable
not-
bid.
Right.
you know.
Yeah, you're correct.
Absolutely.
And I ask about building, a schedule of values. I mean, it's the same thing as a poem,
A
but.
project schedule.
Yeah.
Or it's-
Yeah.
We should be able to lay out a schedule of values. This is what
project
it's gonna
plan.
cost. This is when we're gonna complete this part of the
Right.
project and put it out there on a board. It's not that hard of a process to do, but.
No,
That's what was said.
Yeah, that's crazy. Okay, item F, comprehensive adjudication. Jim?
Yes, not a lot to report again. We still have not had a judge assigned. However, on August 2nd, the Water District filed a petition with the California Supreme Court requesting that a judge be assigned, and specifically Judge Claster. So this is the last step, option that we have. So hopefully we'll go ahead and have a response from the Supreme Court sooner as opposed to later, and have a judge assigned so we can move forward. That said, there is a case management conference scheduled for September 1st at 2:30 p.m. If we don't have a judge, I'm not sure what will be accomplished other than maybe a quick status report, but the judge is clear. No orders until he's appointed. So we're still waiting, and really that's the only change. That's all I've got.
September 1st, you said?
September 1st at 2:30, and the information will be sent to the board. And then for the public that wants to call in and listen, I believe that information is generally posted on the district's website before the hearing.
Thank you for that.
You got it.
Okay, comments, questions? Okay, public questions, comments? Okay, item G, interim general manager and staff update. Sorry, I wanted to make sure your title was,
I hope to be a little quicker than Don. As of today, employees of the Water District have worked 223 days since the last recordable injury. Meter production at the wells for the month of July was 228,996,000 gallons. And water that went through the distribution system for consumption or non-revenue water came in at 182,050,000 gallons. The conservation results for July show consumption down 41.8% compared to July of 2013. And the cumulative 24.4% since the board's self-imposed target of 20% consumption in June 2016. Comparing the July conservation results to last year, consumption in 2022 was 35% lower. Nope, it should be 2023, was 35% lower than 2013 base year. Residential gallons per capita per day for the month was 144.3. This includes both indoor and outdoor. And there's one new connection during the month for $5,068 in capital facility fees. I can go on.
please.
I don't have anything else
Okay.
on that item. Public outreach, though, we can go to that. Don attended the August 1st Community Collaborative meeting at the City Hall and reported LADWP has stopped releasing water into the basin as of July 18th. It is estimated 10,085 acre feet flowed into the basin since the releases began in April. It was also reported the district was awaiting results of its application for the Defense Community Infrastructure Pilot Program funding in support of the Northwest Transmission Pipeline Replacement Project. And sad to say that our application was not accepted due to their tier ranking.
I went back and looked at the letter they provided. It didn't sound like they rejected our application. They said something about,
They didn't
engaging in
accept it.
discussion.
Like they didn't accept it, not rejected it, but we just didn't,
Meets the qualification.
right.
Well, it was,
Oh, we're not moving on to the next phase?
yeah, there was something, it was confusing to me. I went back and reread it a few times. It sounded like there's a chance to re-engage in the September
My
timeframe.
understanding of it was there was three tiers, and they were looking at tier 1 and tier 2, and we were in tier 3.
Okay. Surprised that we scored so low.
1 and 2 were priority.
I'm surprised that we scored so low.
It wasn't a scoring, it's just the qualification of what our project was.
And I imagine they had limited funding too, so if they had enough in the first 2 tiers to take up all that money, then that's probably what happened.
So there was more information than in that short letter I saw.
No, we're just inferring from going through the grant package and what the requirements were for the package we put together
Okay.
to submit. Am I wrong?
Right.
That's kind of where it was at, right? Yeah.
I think it said sometime in December they would be available to discuss any more details further if we wanted to. Like if we wanted to say, hey, what was it that, why didn't we get funded?
Right.
But we have to wait till like the end of September or something.
Yeah, okay, so that's what that was about. That wasn't to revisit this proposal, but it was to give us more insight. So it didn't sound like, even though they pointed out points of contact, they didn't offer the services of staff until September for us to engage. Okay, thank you. Sorry.
That's fine. The new 550,000 gallon college tank is in service. Letters reporting boron exceeding the notification level were mailed to the city, Kern County, and San Bernardino County on July 27th. We continue to work with Providence Strategic Consulting to promote Water Smart on social media, and as of Friday, there were 1,643 active Water Smart accounts, accounting for 12.3% of the customers, though about 80% receive either emails or text messages or phone calls. There's an increase of 30 since last month's report, and there were 2,186 customer alerts issued in July. The past 12 months, there's been 13,303 customer alerts.
Okay, thank you. Special board workshop.
I think that first item's yours.
So the Potential Strategic Planning Effort Ad Hoc Committee, Director St. Amon and I are on that, and we have discussed a number of potential items with the previous general manager. We have also discussed this a little bit during our workshop about some additional items that we might be taking under hand. So that's our current status. We've agreed to meet sometime. We haven't set up the date for that yet. I've been gone for 2 weeks on vacation, so there's really not been much time.
That's what happened to you.
That's what happened.
I'd recommend,
I have a comment about that,
I'd
too.
recommend we meet after the new general manager takes office.
I think that's a great idea.
A comment I want to make is that, again, this is based on the letter that Don sent about questions about this pipeline. That I think it's important that when we get the answers to that a short summary that boils down to the cost for our ratepayers, that we have a letter that makes it simple to understand. Here's the bottom line, what everything's going to cost, and here's what it is going to cost per month per ratepayer on average, that gets in your hands as well.
Okay.
Gets to the public, gets in your hands, because I think it's necessary in your long-term strategic plan.
Of course, okay. Plus, if you go back to public outreach, it's necessary to say, if the board of directors comes to a particular decision, we need to let the public know why we made that decision, and it has to be readily digestible.
Right. Thank you.
Concur, thank you. Variance for evaporative coolers?
So the committee meetings, there's the four, I think they're the Aqua ones, 4 evaporative cooler variants have been scheduled every month, but then they're canceled because they're waiting for the information to come from DWP, and it hasn't been there.
So no action's been taken?
No action
So-
yet, no.
Yeah.
Still waiting for information.
So we're guessing. Okay. Letter to IWVGA regarding monitoring wells?
I think that letter is being drafted by Tim Parker.
Okay. Will we see a copy of that before it goes to IWVGA?
Yes.
Okay, very good. We're missing item 4. Well, I guess we'll go to item 5. Booster statement and tanks projects.
All right. Nothing really new since the P&E committee meeting last week. We're still waiting on the motor control center to arrive. It should be just about any time for the booster station. Meanwhile, the pumps and the motors for the pumps were installed, and they are still working on the electrical up there at the booster station. And as you heard, the new college tank is online. The old college tank was taken offline and drained. They're working on pipe modifications on the old tank. The interior of the tank, the old tank, looks good. no problems like the old gateway tank where we had delamination. So there was a punch list site walk last week. So those punch list items will go out to the contractor sometime soon. I haven't seen them yet, but they're still working on the underground stuff up there for the old tank.
Okay. Thanks for your summary. Well 33 update.
So Best Drilling and Pump pulled out the pump at well 33, and they did that last week. Or was it the week before last? I lost track of time. It was last week. They had to then come get the top part of the pump that we had taken out of well 34 years ago and rebuilt, so that it can make modifications so that it fits the discharge head at well 33. So they delivered the old 33 pump back to us today, picked up the well 34 pump, and are starting their work on getting that installed. So that should be done this week. I don't know if we'll have startup this week since we have a Flex Friday off, but hopefully we'll get all the install done.
Okay.
How old was the pump they took out?
How old?
Yeah, how long has it been in there?
Oh, year?
So and it's definitely the pumps that's the problem.
Well, we hope so.
Is there
Because we
is there
didn't see
some kind of
sanding.
warranty or something on with that? There's nothing? Okay.
We're gonna have a different company come and pick it up and do the breakdown and inspection on it. Because
Okay.
Best was the one that did the install last time
Okay.
on that pump, just in case there's an indication that maybe the pump was installed incorrectly or something, so.
But was that a new pump or a rebuilt pump?
It was a new pump.
That lasted just that long. I'm sorry. Yeah, I thought there'd be something, if it actually failed on its own if it was proper installation, still failed, you think we'd have some recourse there, from the manufacturer or the distributor.
But we didn't want to have the same company
Right.
do the tear downs.
So once you get all that, you move ahead with that. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Item 7, financial status. Back to you, Ty.
All right. So in July, first month of the fiscal year, we had a budget revenues of 961,000, actuals of 1.5 million. Note, we have not done the accruals for the water, for the billing that took place in June. So some of that revenue will accrue back to the previous fiscal year. Expenditures, we had a budget of 1.4 million and we spent 633,000. So our net right now is 921,000 versus the budget of a negative 500,000. Again, with that caveat, that some of that revenue will go back to the previous fiscal year.
Okay. Questions, comments? Solar production?
Solar production for the phase 1 projects, we no longer receive, because our guarantee is over, we no longer receive the estimated dollar savings. As far as generation goes, though, for July, we had generation of, what is that, nope, I'm looking at the wrong one. I apologize. I do not have that. I probably tore off the wrong page. There we go. Okay, total production of 378,000 kilowatt hours. The previous July was 347,000 kilowatt hours, so we are producing more than the previous year.
Awesome.
As far as phase 2, which is the well 35 site, that still is under the 5-year guarantee. We had estimated savings of $2,396 versus a guarantee of $2,054. So better than the guarantee.
Hey. Conservation.
This is for calendar year 2023. We've had 60 water waste reports received, 60 contacts made, 23 formal warnings issued, and 7 penalties issued.
Seems to be up.
It is, yeah. We didn't have any penalties issued last year.
No.
So,
Anything common between those penalties?
I don't think so.
Recipients?
Not that we can tell, it's just people aren't responding to our letters when they have leaks or overwatering or some.
And I would
Things like that.
point out that these are all folks that don't have WaterSmart accounts. Had
That
they-
I do not know.
But if they did, we would have notified them
We
of
do
these
notify
problems
them.
and,
Yep, we send out emails, text messages, and phone calls.
okay.
Even if they don't have a water.
Yeah, as long as we have one of those three, if we have their phone number, email, or phone number again, then we do send out those. They don't have to be signed up. And then they receive a link and they can sign up, or they can just see what we're alerting them to.
Okay.
A quick comment. If, to the general public, or customers rather, if you don't have WaterSmart and you can manage the application, I would recommend strongly that you get the WaterSmart application on your phone. If you don't have a phone that will handle that, or you don't wish to do that, please, I urge you to respond as soon as possible to phone calls and letters and emails from the Water District. The way that the billing structures are set up and with the laying of the groundwater authority replenishment fee on top of it, a minor water leak can turn into a financial disaster in a very short period of time. Please do not delay in responding to the Water District. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
And on top of that, if you do have questions about setting up the account, call customer service. They will walk you through it.
Okay, very good. Intercurrent Road transmission line.
Not to pour salt in the wound, but the district was informed that it did not receive funding from the Defense Community Infrastructure Pilot Program. The interim GM will be continuing to reach out to Navy contacts to pursue possible other avenues of funding from the 2019 earthquake relief funds. I have reached out to WECA to get a revised quote to cover the initial pipeline replacement project, and that would not include any of the new appurtenances. It would just be pipeline only.
I had a quick question, Jason.
Yeah.
What's the cost difference between C909 and then the HDPE pipe or whatever that we use now?
Okay, so when it was about 20% more
Okay.
for the C909.
So we could probably save 40 to 60% if we did it in-house on labor.
Right.
So have we looked at that?
It is one of the avenues we are looking at.
Okay.
As soon as we get the quote from WECA, we're going to compare that to just ordering the pipe and doing it in-house.
With C909
and
or-
getting some temporary labor.
Okay.
And
Okay, I
then-
was just thinking that maybe more economical if we just did it and got it knocked out.
It's definitely one of the items on the table.
Okay.
Replacement pipe will be 24 inch, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you for that. I know it's a tough problem, but we got to figure this one out. Doesn't sound like DCIP is going to be a near-term solution, if ever.
It was disappointing to hear that.
Yeah.
But I'm proud of the staff that they're looking for other avenues. Everything you can think of outside the box of how to do the line, what it's made of, how we do it, who does it, any other money that may be available. I know, Ty, I passed some information to you about using, was it Aqua that had that, you can contact them, is there anything out there they
Yeah,
can direct you to?
We haven't found anything that would fit this yet.
Okay,
A lot of their grants and stuff are program related based on, conservation and those kind of things, but we're still looking.
okay, great.
So
And thank you, John, for helping us at
Yeah.
least be considered.
We still like you, John.
Tried. Thank you.
just a quick comment. We're at the end of August. We're heading into September. The temperatures, thank God, are starting to come down again. And we are blessed that we had no issues with our water system on this side of the break. And to that, I'd like to compliment the staff for having a reliable water system. That is
Absolutely.
not, it sounds, this business as usual, but that is not necessarily a common experience. I'd also like to thank our customers for their continued efforts at conservation.
Yeah, thanks for that.
I'll pass that along and say that the efforts by the Water Supply Department in continuous monitoring, getting up in the middle of the night to make sure everything's okay, I don't want that to be unnoticed.
No, they work incredibly hard keeping everybody in water.
I can imagine, especially when something like this, challenges the
We'll
system.
pass our appreciation and thanks to them, please.
Arsenic treatment, Jason?
For the month of July, Plant 2 treated 52,511,000 gallons. And staff continues to work on Plant 1 and sifting the treatment media from the support media in an effort to save on the cost of buying new media. It is an arduous process and one that we're glad that the temperatures are cooling down and maybe we don't need the plant right now. Just from the sheer fact of the chemical costs that have gone up nearly 25%. We were estimating that we're spending about $1,000 a day in chemicals alone, just running the one plant.
Wow.
Ouch. Okay, operations. Yep, back to you, Jason.
For the month of July, we had 16 repairs, 30 replacements, 15 valves returned, bringing our grand total for the year to 135. And the no-des ran 4 times, saving 52,170 gallons, bringing our grand total of savings to 8,947,275 gallons.
Awesome. Very good. Thank you, staff.
Mr. President, I was going to ask, can we go back to solar production real quick? Because I think we forgot to ask if now, because we aren't getting those monthly updates on, how much we're saving, does the board still want to see the report every month or perhaps every quarter, every 6 months, that kind of thing? I'm just wondering if you want us to keep presenting all of this data every month? Or do you want more of maybe a summary?
I'm good with quarterly or even semi-annual.
Right, if you see a problem with production,
Let us know.
bring
Let
it
us
to our
know.
attention. Otherwise, I think that I'm good with,
They can, even a yearly report, because all we're really looking at is what we've saved.
right.
And I agree with Director St. Armand that if there's an issue, let us know.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I don't.
Annually is fine.
I think annual is even fine. Is that okay with you, Chuck? I don't think, unless there's an issue, I think annual is even fine.
I have I have the same issue or same concerns.
Yeah.
If there are variances that are beyond normal,
Right.
that
We'll
we should be
we'll do
made
it based
aware of.
on fiscal year, so.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, does that make, if anything to make the staff's job easier, but still inform us on information that we can act on to help, so. All right, awesome. Thank you for bringing that up. Okay, item 10, board comments and future agenda items. Director Griffin?
I have none, I guess.
Okay. Ron?
I got a couple. The latest magazine we all got, the California Special District Association. I typically read these things, and usually it's a lot of legal issues. But this one had some good stuff in it. They had governance about reserves, which is very interesting for the board to read. They have an interview about sharing your story with the customers, which I've always said that the more we share with the customers where we're headed and what we're thinking, that's why your guys' committee is so important. Community Connections was another article, and then also Money Matters, Understanding Credit. So there's a lot in it this time, and with our new manager, George Kroll, starting on September 1st, I'm sure that Lauren will probably work with them, because I noticed that they have the Certified Special District Manager training, and then a certificate for and maybe some of the directors might even want to consider. It's been a while since we've been. It may be something that we may want to look at here in the future for the directors going to the special district governance, because things have changed a lot. So I'm just saying that this particular magazine had a lot of good information in it. So I'm going to go ahead and just mention that. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Thank you. Director Simon?
No, I have none.
Dan?
Yes, at the Matarango Museum, there is a display of low water landscape ideas. I went through it, finally got over there. A lot of good display work going on there. And if the members of the board haven't been there to look at the display, I would encourage them to go look at it. We have been told by the state revolving fund people, and I believe Aqua as well, that there's no money in the state revolving fund. I went online to look at what was really going on and discovered that the state revolving fund gets most of their money from the federal government.
EPA, right?
Yeah, it is EPA. And when you go online, look at the US EPA, last year, the FY22 was their largest giveaway of funds that they've had in history, and that's $50 million. And that's given to the 85% of that $50 million is given to the state revolving fund agencies of the various states. And because we have a fairly high population in California, I would hope that we would get more than 1/50th of that $50 million. So it's just hard for me to believe that and by the way, the agency in charge of distributing that money is the State Water Resources Control Board. All right, all that drinking water and clean water revolving fund dollars, they go to the water board. So my feeling is we need to follow up and find out where that money is going. It doesn't do us any good for our 16.9 million deficit right now. But that, at some point in time, we're going to need to utilize them, and we really need to understand how the state works. The whole idea of the revolving fund is that you borrow money, and then as that money gets paid back, new people can come in and borrow that money. But obviously, they've been putting a lot of money into grants as opposed to revolving fund. And my feeling is we need to work with our federal people, including Kevin McCarthy, et cetera, to find out where'd they spend their money, so in any event, that's something that hopefully the finance committee is going to follow up on. But clearly we've got a major budget shortfall of $16.9 million, and we got to keep pushing on that.
Okay, thank you.
I would need to address this. You're talking about because of the pipeline, right? The 16.9. Yeah, keep in mind that when that estimate was put together, that was based on all the requirements and hoops we would need to jump through for using that particular money. There were a lot of, issues that had to be addressed legally, environmentally, everything else that would probably won't occur if we do it another way. So I'm not sure what that number really is after you back all that out. But it's, again, closer to your original estimates around, 7 million or something like, or less. So I just want to make that clear.
We'll find out. We're speculating at the moment.
Yeah,
so
I
staff is working
don't
it.
believe that.
Well, it's true. There's a lot of things that went into that cost estimate
No.
that won't happen.
That part I agree. So we'll find out. Staff's working that, and soon we'll
But
know
we do
what the
need to
real
look
numbers
at it
are.
in the budget as well as the other work.
The bottom line is we know there's going to be a need for additional money that we did not have in our capital plan, and the projects that Krieger and Stewart advised us, the top three were important projects. So it's not going to be easy to defer those, but currently that pipeline doesn't work at all. So it's going to be a challenge for us. So I appreciate the work you're doing there, and as soon as you can get good numbers for us, I appreciate it, Jason. We'll look forward to that. That is my number one concern. As I walked into the meeting tonight is, what is our plan? And it sounds like we're working towards giving us information to make those decisions and move forward. And I don't know if we're going to need to have a special meeting because it may happen. I mean, it may be something we need to decide on between now and the next staff meeting, or board meeting. So we'll keep that open as a potential and keep you guys advised. Thanks again, Jason. Okay. Certainly can.
Judy Decker again. I certainly hope your audio doesn't pick up all my joints creaking and popping every time I get up.
I'm sure it does.
I was wondering if, I really don't want to put Ty on the spot whatsoever, but I was wondering if the board and staff were aware of the water quality results that came out of the EP1 that was drilled a couple of years ago by the GA. The water quality samples were taken. The water is poor. It's high in manganese. And
Where was that well drilled, Judy?
EP1.
EP1, it's
It's near the,
You know where the old, what's it called, Robbers Roost on Highway 14?
Yeah.
There's a dirt road just north of there, and if you go to the east, that's where the well is.
it's just east of Freeman Gulch. I'm sorry, just north of Freeman Gulch
In the El Paso.
in the El Paso.
It's in the El Paso Basin, which is why it's called EP1.
Okay.
About a mile
How
off
deep,
of
how
Highway
deep was
14.
that well? Do you remember?
Yes, the well, because my husband Don, as a TAC member, was there. We were there often. It was, and I can tell you who not to hire as a drilling team. It was drilled to 1,500 feet. The driller and his crew decided they were tired, and they took 4 days off without casing it, and it collapsed the bottom 500 feet or so, maybe not quite that much collapsed, so it's a little over 1,000 feet deep. The material that came out was virtually uniform. It's clay. And, you know, if you want more details, Don can give them to you, or Jean Moran can give them to you.
I don't know if Tim Parker has been receiving the inputs from Gene. I would assume that they
Well,
would be discussing.
I don't know either.
That is just my question, or just my comment back, is
Right.
that the Water District may have been made aware, but
But
I
I
don't
know,
recall hearing from Tim on this topic.
I know you are talking about putting more monitoring wells in that area, and you need to be aware, since you have a money problem due to unforeseen tragic circumstances, that maybe you should hold off on that for a bit.
I understand what you're saying, Judy. I only want to make one comment. I don't believe that well was test pumped. It was only airlifted. So they didn't go through a very good developing process when they drilled the well. They drilled it and then they airlifted a little bit, but they didn't put any production to it. They didn't pump and actually flush out the well to let it start pulling in and cleaning everything out either, though. So it was very minimal was done on development of the well. It was,
Well, I can't answer to that.
yeah, so if you
But
would
I-
ask Don, I'd like to know that.
Well, it's interesting that, you know, we're having a GA meeting on the 23rd at 11 o'clock, because we have not received a notice about that yet.
Well,
But
it
you'll
was
see
a
him
three-
then.
It was a 3-level well, right? They put
Yes, I
3
think-
different,
Piezometers
and there was
in it.
never an attempt to do any pumping, as I
Yeah,
recall.
it's a monitoring well.
It's a monitoring well, but nevertheless, the water quality is what I'm talking about, which is not too good.
And they were not able to put in the deeper piezometers because the well collapsed, so they've got shallow piezometer. 500 feet is roughly where the piezometers are.
I don't know.
Yeah, we'll ask.
One close to the bottom,
Yeah, I mean,
about 1,000.
Has there been a report written on that? Has anybody seen the report on the digging?
yeah, don't know.
I haven't
Might be
seen
something
any,
worth asking through the GA.
finalization report on that at all.
Because Gene,
I'll ask the question.
Yeah, we can follow up on that.
I'll ask it this month at the meeting.
Yeah, good.
Absolutely.
awesome.
Appreciate it, good.
Thanks for that, Judy. Okay, we are done at 7:16. Thank you for all your help and attention.
I told her so.
We got done early. We're done.
I believe that's 7.7.